Hello, I'm Fish, and I have some announcements to make about Tiny Leaders. First off, hey, I've recently joined the TLC. That's the Tiny Leaders Committee. If you're not familiar, Tiny Leaders Reborn has a group of people who govern the format, similar to the Commander Advisory Group for EDH. We make rules, ban lists, organize stuff, etc. I'm very excited to join up and work on the format that I've been championing for the last several years. So, time for the main announcement. As of June 23rd, we're going to be changing the rules regarding partners. Here's our new rule. A player using more than one commander begins the game with a forced mulligan. This is achieved by drawing cards equal to the player's starting hand size and choosing one to place on the bottom of their library. This counts as the player's first mulligan. Subsequent mulligans will be treated as normal. Basically, if you're playing more than one commander, your mulligan is going to start at 1. You're going to look at 7 cards like normal, but to counteract the extra card in the command zone, you'll have to put 1 away, plus any additional mulligans you might take. Longtime Tiny players might notice this is the same rule we had before the current rule, and that's correct. So let's talk about why we're doing this. I understand many players haven't been playing Tiny for long enough to know the full history, so here's a quick recap. Partner commanders have been a problem in Tiny for some time. The advantage gained by always having access to a second card in the command zone has proven to be problematic in 1v1 value-oriented formats like ours. Just think of like pre-errata companions. When partners are good, they become the best thing to be doing. They're dominant and they significantly reduce the variety of viable commanders. We don't want this. Unfortunately, this has proven to be a really difficult problem to solve. The current solution has been to restrict how many of your commanders you could access during a game, and therefore eliminate the card advantage gained. This rule worked for a time, but it was also implemented before the printing of a number of new partner-adjacent mechanics, and as a result has since become outdated. Background cards specifically have been a victim of this rule, being functionally banned as a mechanic from our format. As the Lord of the Rings set approaches with more new partners, we realized this rule was no longer serving its function and was significantly limiting the ways players could approach Tiny Leaders deck building. As such, we've decided to revert back to the mulligan rule we used previously. The reason we originally got rid of this mulligan rule was because it felt overly punishing to players who needed to mulligan and were then only left with 5 cards. This is a fair concern and one that we thought about a lot, but for the health of the format, we decided to use a rule that was harsh and incentivizes our most competitive players to find other strategies. In other words, we like partners and we want players to be able to use them, but we'd prefer to keep them out of the top tables. Going forward, we're going to be keeping a close eye on partners. This might involve some bans in the future if certain commanders become overrepresented. We don't like banning cards, but our hope is that by legalizing these mechanics, it will open more deck building options, and if the cost of that is a few bad actors, we're willing to make that decision. Banning a handful of commanders is still less than banning an entire mechanic. We're excited about this change. We can't wait to see the combinations that you come up with. If you want to discuss these changes or you have any questions, the best place to talk is over in our Discord. See you in there.